stop. Before you get too excited about unlimited energy and a shining future among the stars, I need to ask you something terrifying. What if building the most powerful structure humanity has ever dreamed of is exactly what gets us noticed and wiped out by something lurking in the dark forest of the cosmos? What happens when the stars go out? Now let's dive into something even more mind-bending, the ethics of building a Dyson Sphere. Because whenever you're talking about changing something on a cosmic scale, you have to ask, should we? Do we have the right to dismantle planets? To alter star systems? To reshape the cosmos according to our needs and desires? Some people would say yes, absolutely. We're conscious beings. We're part of the universe, and we have just as much right to use its resources as any other form of life. Maybe more, because we can actually appreciate it, understand it, give it meaning. Others would say no, or at least be careful, because we don't know what we might be destroying, what we might be interfering with, what consequences our actions might have. What if Jupiter, the planet we're planning to dismantle for materials, what if it harbors life, not on its surface? It doesn't have a surface, but in its atmosphere, in its clouds. What if there are organisms there, floating, feeding on chemical reactions, living lives we can't even imagine? We haven't found any evidence of life on Jupiter, but we haven't looked that hard either. And absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. Maybe there's something there, something we'd destroy if we tore the planet apart. Or what if Jupiter serves some important function in the solar system? It does. Actually, its massive gravity protects the inner planets from asteroids and comets, deflecting them, capturing them, preventing them from hitting Earth. If we dismantle Jupiter, we lose that protection. We'd have to come up with some other way to defend ourselves from space rocks. Maybe that's not a big deal for an advanced civilization, but it's something to think about. And then there's the aesthetic argument. Some people might say, wait, you want to block out the sun? You want to turn our beautiful star into an invisible power source surrounded by machinery? What about the beauty of a sunrise? What about stargazing? What about all the cultural and spiritual significance that the sun has for humanity? These aren't trivial concerns. Beauty matters, culture matters, spirituality matters. We're not just survival machines. We're beings who need meaning, wonder, inspiration. A universe without stars, without the beauty of the night sky, without the warmth of sunlight on your face. Would that be a universe worth living in? Some would say yes, if it means survival, if it means growth, if it means achieving our potential as a species. Then yes, we should be willing to sacrifice beauty for functionality. Others would say, no, that beauty is part of what makes us human, part of what makes life worth living. And a civilization that sacrifices beauty for power is a civilization that's lost its soul. And maybe both sides are right to. Maybe we need to find a balance. A way to build a Dyson sphere that still preserves some of the beauty, some of the wonder, some of the magic. Maybe we don't block out the sun completely. Maybe we leave gaps, windows, places where the starlight can shine through, where people can still see their star, still feel its warmth, still be inspired by its light. Or maybe we create artificial suns, smaller, closer, safer, that give people the experience of sunlight without actually using the real sun. Technology is flexible. Engineering is creative. There are usually multiple solutions to any problem. It's just a matter of priorities, values, what you're willing to compromise on, and what you're not. But here's another ethical question, and this one's even trickier. What if there are other civilizations out there? What if we're not alone? What if building a Dyson sphere around our sun sends a message, a signal that we're here, that we're advanced, that we're ready to join the cosmic community? Or what if it makes us a target? What if there are hostile civilizations out there? Civilizations that see a Dyson sphere as a threat, or as a resource to be captured, or as competition to be eliminated. This is called the dark forest hypothesis, based on a science fiction novel by Cixin. The idea is that the universe is like a dark forest, and every civilization is a hunter, staying quiet, staying hidden, because making noise, revealing your location, could be fatal. In this view, building a Dyson sphere would be incredibly dangerous because it's visible from light years away. It's a giant billboard saying, "Here we are! We have energy! Come get us!" Now, we don't know if this hypothesis is true. We don't know if there are hostile aliens out there, but we also don't know that there aren't. And when you're dealing with the potential extinction of your species, even a small risk is worth taking seriously. So, maybe we should be cautious. Maybe we should build our Dyson sphere slowly, carefully, while also building defenses, weapons, ways to protect ourselves, just in case. Or maybe the risk is worth it. Maybe the benefits of a Dyson sphere, the energy, the growth, the survival, outweigh the potential dangers. Maybe we have to take that leap of faith, that gamble, because the alternative, staying small, staying hidden, staying weak, is even more dangerous in the long run. These are the kinds of impossible choices that a civilization faces when it starts thinking about megastructures, when it starts playing on a cosmic scale. There are no easy answers, no obvious right choices, just trade-offs, compromises, educated guesses. Now, let's talk about the timeline, because one of the most common questions people ask about the Dyson sphere is, when could we actually build one? And the honest answer is we don't know. It depends on so many factors. technological progress, economic growth, political stability, or social cohesion, luck, all of these things and more. But we can make some educated guesses, some rough estimates, based on current trends and reasonable assumptions. Right now, today, we're nowhere close to being able to build a Dyson Sphere. We can barely keep a few people alive on the international space station. We can barely send robots to Mars. We're like ants trying to build a skyscraper. But we're learning, we're growing, we're getting better, or responsible for. And if you look at the trajectory of human technological progress over the last few hundred years, it's exponential. We're accelerating, doing more and more in less and less time. 100 years ago, in the 1920s, we had just invented airplanes. Radio was new. Computers didn't exist. The idea of going to space was pure science fiction. 50 years later, in the 1970s, we had been to the moon. We had satellites orbiting Earth. We had computers. Primitive by today's standards, but still. Computers. Things were changing fast. And now, today, we have the internet, smartphones, artificial intelligence, reusable rockets, private space companies. The pace of change is incredible, breathtaking, sometimes scary. If this trend continues, if we keep doubling our capabilities every few decades, then in 100 years, in 200 years, we might be capable of things that seem impossible today. Some futurists predict that we'll have self-replicating machines within 50 to 100 years. And once we have that, once we have machines that can build copies of themselves, the timeline for a Dyson Sphere shrinks dramatically. Because, remember, the hard part about building a Dyson Sphere isn't the design. It's the scale, the sheer amount of work involved. But if you have billions or trillions of robots, all working simultaneously, all building more robots and more Dyson Sphere components, you can accomplish in decades what would take millennia with human labor alone. So, some estimates put the construction time at maybe 200 to 500 years, starting from when we first deploy the self-replicating machines. That's assuming everything goes well. No major setbacks, no wars, no catastrophes. Other estimates are more conservative. Maybe 1,000 years, maybe 2,000, because they account for political problems, economic challenges, technical difficulties, all the things that can go wrong in such a massive long-term project. And some people think it'll never happen, for that will destroy ourselves before we get there, or that we'll find better alternatives, other ways to get the energy we need without building such a massive structure. Personally, if I had to guess, I'd say we're looking at somewhere between 500 and 2,000 years before we have a complete Dyson sphere around our sun. Assuming we survive that long, assuming we stay committed to the project. Assuming we don't get distracted by other priorities. But here's the thing about timelines. They're notoriously unreliable, especially for projects this ambitious, this unprecedented. We've never built anything even remotely like a Dyson sphere, so we don't really know how long it would take. We're just guessing, extrapolating, hoping. What we do know is that every journey begins with a single step, and we've already taken some of those steps. We've already started down this path. Even if we don't realize it, every satellite we launch, every space station we build, every robot we send to another planet, every advance in materials science or energy technology or artificial intelligence. All of these things are stepping stones, preparations, practice runs for the big project. We're learning how to work in space, how to build structures in zero gravity, how to mine asteroids, how to process materials in harsh environments. All skills we'll need for a Dyson sphere. We're developing the technologies we'll need. Better solar panels, more efficient energy storage, stronger materials, smarter automation, all pieces of the puzzle. We're changing our mindset, our culture, our values, moving from a terrestrial species to a spacefaring one, from thinking in terms of countries and continents to thinking in terms of planets and star systems. It's happening slowly, gradually, almost imperceptibly, but it's happening, and if we keep going, keep pushing, keep dreaming, then maybe, just maybe, our descendants will see that dream become reality. Now let's talk about alternatives, because the Dyson sphere isn't the only megastructure scientists have proposed. There are other ideas, other ways to harness stellar energy or achieve similar goals. There's the ring world, proposed by Larry Niven in his science fiction novel. This would be a massive ring orbiting a star, spinning to create artificial gravity on its inner surface. You could fit millions of Earth's worth of living space on a ring world. The advantages: enormous living space, natural feeling gravity, direct access to sunlight. The disadvantages: it's even harder to build than a Dyson sphere, requires impossibly strong materials, and it's unstable. 4. Any small perturbation would cause it to drift and eventually collide with the star. Then there's the Alderson disk, named after Dan Alderson. This would be a flat disk orbiting a star, like a giant DVD, with the star at the center. The disk would be so massive that its own gravity would pull things toward its surface, creating usable land on both sides. This would give you even more living space than a ring world. But it's even more unstable, even harder to build, and it would block out the star from certain angles, creating weird lighting effects. There's the Topopolis, a long tube habitat rotating for gravity that loops around the star or even across the galaxy. You could make it as long as you want, connecting different star systems, creating a continuous habitat stretching across light years. This would be easier to build than a full Dyson sphere. You could construct it in sections gradually extending it, and people living inside would have a consistent environment, constant gravity, predictable conditions, but you'd capture less stellar energy, and maintenance would be a nightmare. There's the hoop world, similar to a ring world, but smaller. Just a ring around a planet instead of a star. This would be much more feasible with current or near future technology. You could build one around Earth, creating millions of square kilometers of new living space without needing to leave the solar system or dismantle any planets. And then there are the really wild ideas, like the stellar engine we mentioned earlier, or the Shukadov thruster, or even more exotic concepts like birch planets, artificial worlds built around black holes, or neutron star shells, habitats constructed around neutron stars to harvest their intense magnetic fields. Each of these has its own advantages and disadvantages, its own engineering challenges and potential benefits. And maybe we won't just build one. Maybe we'll build several different structures for different purposes, creating a whole ecosystem of megastructures throughout the galaxy. Or maybe we'll come up with something entirely new, something we haven't thought of yet. Some design that's more efficient, more practical, or more suited to our needs. That's the beauty of the future. It's open, uncertain, full of possibilities. But for now, the Dyson Sphere remains the most iconic call, the most discussed, the most thoroughly analyzed megastructure concept. It's become a symbol, a benchmark, a way of measuring a civilization's advancement. In fact, scientists have created something called the Kardashev scale, named after Soviet astronomer Nikolai Kardashev, to classify civilizations based on their energy usage. A Type 1 civilization, also called a planetary civilization, can harness all the energy available on its home planet, all the sunlight hitting it, all the geothermal energy, all the tidal forces, everything. We're not quite there yet. We're maybe a Type 0.7. We can use some of Earth's energy, but not all of it. Not efficiently. We're still transitioning from fossil fuels to renewable sources. Still learning how to capture and store energy effectively. A Type 2 civilization can harness all the energy of its star. This is where the Dyson Sphere comes in awe. If you've built a Dyson Sphere, if you're capturing all or most of your star's energy, you're a Type 2 civilization. You've graduated to stellar scale engineering. A Type 3 civilization can harness all the energy of its galaxy, all the stars, all the black holes, everything. We can barely imagine what such a civilization would be like, what they could do, what they would want. It's so far beyond our current capabilities that it seems like magic. Some scientists have proposed even higher levels, or Type 4, Type 5, of civilizations that can manipulate the universe itself, that can create or destroy galaxies, or that can access other dimensions or parallel universes. But at that point, we're really just speculating, imagining, dreaming. The Kardashev scale is useful because it gives us a framework, a way to think about progress, about what's possible, about where we might be going. And according to this scale, building a Dyson Sphere isn't just a cool project. It's a milestone, a graduation, a transition from planetary childhood to stellar adolescence. It's us growing up, taking our place among the big kids in the cosmic playground. But And this is important. The Kardashev scale is about energy usage, not wisdom, not ethics, or not happiness. Not any of the things that actually matter for quality of life. A Type 2 civilization with a Dyson sphere could be miserable, oppressive, dystopian, if the energy is hoarded by a few, if it's used for war or control or exploitation. Or it could be wonderful, utopian, a paradise, if the energy is shared, if it's used to lift everyone up, to eliminate scarcity, to enable creativity and exploration and growth. Lalam. Technology doesn't determine outcomes, do. People do. Societies do. The choices we make, the values we hold, the systems we create, those are what matter. A Dyson sphere is just a tool, a very big, very powerful tool, but still just a tool. What we do with it, that's up to us. And that brings us back to the present, to today, to the choices we're making right now. Because if we want to build a Dyson sphere, someday, if we want to become a Type 2 civilization, if we want to survive the death of the stars, we need to start preparing now, not by building Dyson spheres. We're not ready for that, but by building the foundation, the infrastructure, the knowledge and capabilities we'll need. We need to invest in space exploration, send more missions to other planets, learn how to live and work in space, or when establish permanent bases on the Moon and Mars, develop closed-loop life support systems that can sustain people indefinitely without resupply from Earth. We need to advance our materials science, develop stronger, lighter, more durable materials that can withstand the harsh conditions of space, that can be manufactured from asteroid or planetary materials, that can self-repair or adapt to changing conditions. We need to improve our energy technology, better solar panels, more efficient batteries, fusion reactors, if we can figure them out, because the Dyson sphere is all about energy. And we need to master energy at smaller scales. Before we can work at stellar scales, we need to develop artificial intelligence and robotics, because we can't build a Dyson sphere with human hands alone. We need smart, capable, autonomous machines that can work in space, that can replicate themselves, that can solve problems on their own. We need to foster international cooperation, because a Dyson sphere isn't a project for one country, one company, one group. It's a project for all of humanity, and we need to learn how to work together. How to share resources. How to coordinate efforts across borders and cultures. We need to educate the next generation, inspire them, excite them about space, about science, about the future, because they're the ones who'll take the next steps. Hey, who'll build on what we've started? Who'll carry the torch forward? We need to preserve our planet, solve our environmental problems, because if we destroy Earth, if we make it uninhabitable, we might not survive long enough to build a Dyson Sphere. We might not even survive long enough to establish off-world colonies. And we need to think long-term, really long-term. Not just about the next quarter or the next election or the next decade, but about centuries, millennia, the deep future of humanity, and what we want it to look like. This is hard. It goes against human nature in a lot of ways. We're evolved to think short term, to prioritize immediate threats and rewards over distant possibilities. But we're also capable of transcending our nature, thinking abstractly, of planning for the future, of sacrificing for the benefit of those who come after us. We've done it before. Built cathedrals that took centuries to complete, planted forests that wouldn't mature for generations, started projects we knew we'd never see finished, because we believed in something bigger than ourselves. The Dyson Sphere is our generation's cathedral, our forest, our great project, and even if we never see it completed, even if it remains a dream, it's a dream that can guide us, inspire us, unite us. It can help us see beyond our petty differences, our tribal conflicts, our short-term thinking, and focus on what really matters: survival, growth, the long-term flourishing of consciousness in the universe, because that's what this is really about. Not energy, not structures, not technology, but consciousness, awareness. The universe waking up and looking at itself. We are the universe made conscious. We are matter that has learned to think, to feel, to wonder, to create. And as far as we know, we might be the only ones, or the only conscious beings in this vast cosmos. That's a huge responsibility, a sacred trust. We're the custodians of consciousness, the keepers of the cosmic flame. And we have a duty, not just to survive, but to thrive. to spread, to fill the universe with life and thought and meaning. The Dyson Sphere is one way to do that. One tool in our arsenal. One step on a very long journey. But it's an important step, a symbolic step, a declaration that we're here. We're aware. We're not going quietly into the night, and when the stars finally do go out, when the last red dwarf fades to black hole, when the universe grows cold and dark, we want to still be here, somehow, in some form, keeping the light of consciousness alive. Maybe, by then, we'll have transcended our physical forms, become beings of pure energy or information, no longer dependent on stars or planets or physical structures. Maybe we'll have spread across the entire universe, or even across multiple universes, seeding consciousness everywhere we go, ensuring that somewhere, someone is always thinking, always aware, always alive. Maybe we'll have solved the mystery of existence itself, figured out why there's something rather than nothing. What came before the Big Bang? What lies beyond the edge of the observable universe? Maybe we'll have become gods, or realized that we always were. Or maybe we'll have failed, destroyed ourselves, succumbed to our worst instincts, proven that consciousness is just a brief flicker in the cosmic darkness, destined to burn out and leave no trace. We don't know which future awaits us. We can't know. The universe doesn't come with a script, with a predetermined ending. We write our own story. We choose our own destiny through our actions, our choices, our values. And that's both terrifying and exhilarating, because it means we have power or agency, responsibility. The future is not fixed. It's open, and what we do today, right now, in this moment, matters. It shapes what comes next. It determines whether we reach the stars or fall into oblivion. So what's your choice? What role will you play in this cosmic drama? Will you be someone who builds, who dreams, who pushes forward? Or will you be someone who tears down, who doubts, who holds back? Will you invest in the future, in space exploration, in science and technology, in education and cooperation? Or will you focus only on the present, on short-term gains, on narrow self-interest? Will you inspire the next generation, share the wonder of the cosmos, help them see the possibilities? Or will you dampen their enthusiasm, tell them to be realistic, to lower their expectations. These choices matter. They add up. They compound like interest in a bank account. Each small decision, each tiny action contributes to the larger trajectory. We're building a future where children can grow up looking at the sky and dreaming of the stars, knowing that those stars aren't just distant lights, but destinations, homes, possibilities. We're building a future where the death of stars isn't the end, but just another challenge to overcome, another problem to solve, another opportunity to show what we're capable of. And maybe, just maybe, we're building a future where we're not alone, where we encounter other civilizations, other forms of consciousness, and together we light up the galaxy, fill it with life and thought and wonder. Or maybe we never build a Dyson Sphere. Maybe we find a better way, a different path, a solution we haven't thought of yet. And that's okay too, because the goal isn't really the Dyson Sphere. The goal is survival, growth, the continuation of consciousness. And there are many ways to achieve that order. The Dyson Sphere is just one possibility, one vision of what the future could hold, one answer to the question, what happens when the stars go out? And the answer it gives is simple, powerful, defiant, or we don't let them. We harness their energy. We extend their lives. We build new lights to replace the old ones. We refuse to accept the darkness. We fight. We persist. We endure. We survive. That's the spirit of the Dyson Sphere. That's what it represents. That's why it matters. Not as an engineering project, but as a philosophy, a worldview, a commitment to never giving up, never surrendering, never accepting that anything is truly impossible, because throughout human history, we've been told things are impossible. And we've proven those doubters wrong. Again and again, we've climbed mountains, crossed oceans, flown through the air, reached the moon, split the atom, decoded life itself. We've done impossible things because we refused to believe they were impossible, because we dared to dream, to try, to fail, to try again, to keep pushing until we succeeded. And the Dyson Sphere, it's just the next impossible thing, the next mountain to climb, the next ocean to cross, the next dream to chase. It might take hundreds of years, thousands of years. It might never happen at all. But the fact that we can imagine it, that we can think about it, that we can work toward it, that's already a victory. That's already something special. That's already proof of what we're capable of. So, when someone asks you, what happens when the stars go out, you can tell them, we'll be ready. We'll have plans. We'll have options. We'll survive. Because that's what humans do. We adapt. We overcome. We persist. And if they ask, how? You can tell them about the Dyson Sphere, about the dream of capturing stellar energy, about the vision of a civilization that spans star systems, about the hope that consciousness will outlast the stars themselves. And if they say, that's impossible, you can smile and say, maybe, but we've done impossible things before, and we'll do them again, because the alternative, giving up, accepting defeat, letting the darkness win, that's not in our nature. That's not who we are. We are the species that looked at the sky and wondered what was up there. That looked at fire and figured out how to make it. That looked at the atom and split it. That looked at the moon and walked on it. We are the dreamers, the builders, the explorers, the ones who refuse to accept limits, who push boundaries, who reach for the stars, literally and figuratively. And the Dyson Sphere, it's waiting for us. Out there in the future, a challenge, a promise, a destiny calling us forward, urging us to become more than we are, to achieve more than we thought possible, to reach heights we can barely imagine. All we have to do is take the first step, and then the next, and then the next, one step at a time, one generation, building on the work of the previous, each of us contributing what we can, however small, however insignificant it might seem, because big things are made of small parts. Great journeys begin with single steps. And the Dyson Sphere, that cosmic cathedral, that stellar monument, that beacon of human ambition, it will be built, if it's built at all, by millions of people, billions of people, each doing their part, each adding their contribution, each carrying the dream forward. So do your part, whatever it is. Study science, build robots, write code, teach children, inspire others, solve problems, create art, push boundaries, dream big, and never, Never, never give up on the future, because the stars might go out someday. But as long as there are dreamers, as long as there are builders, as long as there are people who look at the impossible and say, let's try anyway, the light will never truly die. It will transform, evolve, become something new, something better, something beyond our current understanding or. But it will persist, it will endure, it will survive, and that persistence, that refusal to surrender, that determination to keep the light burning no matter what. That's the true meaning of the Dyson Sphere. That's its real value. That's why it matters, not as a structure, but as a symbol, a reminder, a promise that we will survive, we will thrive, we will fill the universe with light and life and consciousness. And when the last star finally fades, we'll be there, still shining, still dreaming, still reaching for something greater. That's our destiny. That's our purpose. That's our gift to the cosmos. And the Dyson Sphere, it's just the beginning, the first step on an infinite journey, a journey that starts now with you, with me, with all of us, together, reaching for the stars and beyond. Let me paint you a picture of what daily life might actually look like in a mature Dyson Sphere, because we've talked about the big concepts, the grand visions. But what about the ordinary person? What about someone just living their life in this cosmic megastructure? You wake up, and instead of seeing the sun through a window, you see the glow of the stellar core, filtered through layers of energy collectors. It's a warm, constant light, not quite like sunlight, but similar, engineered to support human circadian rhythms, to keep you healthy, to feel natural. Your home might be on a rotating habitat, creating artificial gravity through centrifugal force. Or it might be in microgravity, depending on your preference, your job, your lifestyle. People have choices in a Dyson Sphere. Lots of choices. You might work in energy management, monitoring the collectors, optimizing their efficiency, making sure the power grid stays balanced. It's important work, vital work. The whole civilization depends on people like you. Or you might be a navigator, plotting courses for cargo ships moving between habitats, calculating orbital transfers, managing traffic, preventing collisions, keeping the vast machinery of the sphere moving smoothly. Or you might be an artist, a teacher, a researcher, a builder. Whatever calls to you, whatever gives your life meaning, because in a post-scarcity economy, you can choose your path based on passion rather than necessity. Your breakfast might come from hydroponic farms growing inside your habitat, or from vat-grown proteins, artificial meat that's indistinguishable from the real thing. Or maybe you're a purist, eating only natural foods shipped from one of the nature preserve habitats. Each option available, each valid, each reflecting different values and choices. After breakfast, you might take a shuttle to work, zipping through the space between habitats, watching the sphere's architecture scroll past your window, the collectors glinting in starlight, the habitats like jewels on an invisible necklace, the sheer scale of it all taking your breath away even though you see it. Every day, at work, you interface with AI assistants. They handle the routine stuff, the calculations, the monitoring, the predictable tasks, while you focus on the interesting problems. The edge cases, the decisions that require judgment, creativity, human insight. You collaborate with colleagues spread across the sphere, some in habitats thousands of kilometers away. But thanks to instantaneous communication systems, it feels like they're right there with you. Virtual presence technology, so good you forget it's not real. During your break, you might visit a virtual reality lounge, spending a few minutes or hours. Time dilates in VR, exploring alien worlds, reliving historical events, playing games, socializing with friends whose physical bodies might be anywhere in the sphere. Or you might prefer physical recreation. There are zero-gravity sports, games that can only be played in space, or traditional sports adapted for rotating habitats. Basketball, where the Coriolis force curves your shots. Soccer on a cylindrical field that wraps around on itself. Lunch might be a social affair, meeting friends at a restaurant that serves fusion cuisine. Literally, fusion of Earth cultures that have been mixing and evolving for generations in the sphere. Flavors and techniques you couldn't experience anywhere else. The afternoon brings different challenges. Maybe a minor crisis, a collector showing signs of degradation. You work with your team to diagnose the problem, dispatch repair drones, monitor their progress, solve the issue before it becomes serious, satisfying work, meaningful work that matters. As your shift ends, you might attend a lecture on stellar engineering or a concert performed by musicians from different habitats, collaborating across vast distances, creating something new, something impossible before the sphere. Dinner could be with family, if you have one, or friends, or alone if you prefer solitude. The sphere accommodates all lifestyles, all preferences. You can be as social or as isolated as you want, as connected or independent as suits your nature. The evening might include education, because learning never stops in a Dyson sphere. There's always something new to discover, new skills to develop, new ideas to explore. Maybe you're studying a new language, one that evolved in the sphere, or learning to pilot spacecraft, or exploring philosophy, or creating art. Before sleep, you might look out at the sphere, at the millions of lights, each one a habitat, a home, a community, billions of people living their lives, pursuing their dreams, contributing to the whole, and you feel what? Pride, wonder, belonging, connection, all of these and more. You're part of something bigger than yourself, something magnificent, something unprecedented in the history of the cosmos. You're living in a Dyson sphere, and that's extraordinary, but it's also ordinary, because it's your normal, your everyday, the life you know. And maybe that's the most remarkable thing, how the extraordinary becomes ordinary, how the impossible becomes mundane, how humanity adapts, always adapts, to whatever circumstances we find ourselves in. Now, let's talk about some of the psychological challenges of living in a Dyson sphere, because transforming your environment on such a massive scale, living in an artificial structure, being so dependent on technology, that has to affect you, change you, or shape your psyche in fundamental ways. There's the issue of agoraphobia, or maybe claustrophobia, depending on how you look at it. Some people might feel overwhelmed by the vastness of the sphere, the endless habitats, the incomprehensible scale. It could make you feel small, insignificant, lost. Others might feel trapped, confined. Even though they're in a structure, that spans hundreds of millions of kilometers. They know it's artificial, bounded, finite, not the true infinity of open space. And that could weigh on them, make them feel caged. There's also earth sickness, a longing for the planet we left behind, for natural landscapes, for weather that isn't controlled, or for horizons that curve down instead of up, for a single sun in an open sky. This would be especially strong in the early generations. The ones who remember Earth, who grew up there, who left it behind. Later generations might not understand, might find Earth sickness puzzling, archaic, like someone today longing for the caves our ancestors lived in. But that doesn't make it less real, less painful. For those who experience it, but it's also ordinary because it's your normal, your everyday, the life you know. And maybe that's the most remarkable thing, how the extraordinary becomes ordinary, how the impossible becomes mundane, how humanity adapts, always adapts, to whatever circumstances we find ourselves in. Now, let's talk about some of the psychological challenges of living in a Dyson sphere, because transforming your environment on such a massive scale, living in an artificial structure, being so dependent on technology, that has to affect you, change you, or shape your psyche in fundamental ways. There's the issue of agoraphobia, or maybe claustrophobia, depending on how you look at it. Some people might feel overwhelmed by the vastness of the sphere, the endless habitats, the incomprehensible scale. It could make you feel small, insignificant, lost. Others might feel trapped, confined, even though they're in a structure that spans hundreds of millions of kilometers. They know it's artificial, bounded, finite, not the true infinity of open space. And that could weigh on them, make them feel caged. There's also earth sickness, a longing for the planet we left behind, for natural landscapes, for weather that isn't controlled, or for horizons that curve down instead of up, for a single sun in an open sky. This would be especially strong in the early generations. The ones who remember Earth, who grew up there, who left it behind. Later generations might not understand, might find Earth sickness puzzling, archaic, like someone today longing for the caves our ancestors lived in. But that doesn't make it less real, less painful. For those who experience it, the sphere would need to address these issues. Provide spaces that feel natural, habitats designed to mimic Earth ecosystems, complete with uncontrolled elements, weather, wilderness, places where you can forget you're in a megastructure, at least for a while. There might be isolation issues too. With so many habitats, so many people, you might never meet the same person twice. Every interaction could be with a stranger. That could be exciting, stimulating, or it could be lonely, alienating, depending on your temperament. On the flip side, there might be privacy concerns with so many sensors, so much monitoring needed to keep the sphere running. How much privacy can you really have? How much of your life is being watched, recorded, analyzed by AI systems? These are not new questions. We grapple with them today. But in a Dyson sphere, they'd be magnified, intensified, because the stakes are higher. The system's more pervasive, the trade-offs more stark. And then there's the question of purpose. In a post-scarcity civilization, when survival is guaranteed, when your basic needs are met, what drives you? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What gives your life meaning? Some people thrive in such conditions, freed from necessity. They pursue their passions, create, explore, contribute, but others might struggle, feel adrift, purposeless, depressed. The sphere would need robust mental health systems, therapists, counselors, support groups, maybe AI companions designed to help, maybe meditation centers, spiritual communities, many paths to meaning and purpose, recognizing that different people need different things. There's also the generation ship problem. Even though a Dyson sphere isn't moving through space, it faces similar challenges. How do you maintain cultural continuity across generations? How do you pass down knowledge or values, purpose, responsible for? When the founders are long dead, and the original mission might seem irrelevant to their descendants, this requires intentional cultural engineering. Education systems that teach history, philosophy, the why behind the what, rituals and traditions that connect people to their past, to each other, to the larger purpose of the sphere, but not too much, not so rigid that it stifles change, innovation, evolution, because cultures need to adapt to need to grow, need to respond to new circumstances, new challenges, new possibilities, finding that balance between continuity and change, between tradition and progress, between remembering the past and creating the future. That's one of the ongoing challenges of any long-term civilization, and a Dyson Sphere would face it in the extreme. Let me tell you about some of the wildest speculation, the really far-out ideas about what a mature Dyson Sphere civilization might achieve, because once you've mastered stellar scale engineering, once you've got basically unlimited energy, the possibilities become, well, almost godlike. There's the idea of stellar husbandry, not just extending the life of your star, but breeding new stars, creating baby stars from interstellar gas clouds, seeding the galaxy with new light sources, new homes for future civilizations. Some scientists have proposed using Dyson Sphere energy to manipulate space-time itself, creating wormholes for faster than light travel, or stable wormholes connecting different parts of the sphere. Instant transportation between habitats, or even between star systems. Others suggest we might be able to tap into dark energy, the mysterious force that's accelerating the expansion of the universe. Harvest it somehow, use it for purposes we can barely imagine. Maybe to power structures even larger than Dyson spheres. Maybe to create new universes. There's speculation about consciousness expansion. Using the computational power of a matryoshka brain, the collective intelligence of trillions of minds, to achieve states of awareness that would make current human consciousness seem like the awareness of an insect. By comparison, maybe we'd merge with our technology completely, upload our minds, become digital entities, immortal, infinitely modifiable, able to experience reality in ways that biological beings can't. Or create new substrates for consciousness, quantum computers running on the fabric of space-time itself. Some transhumanist philosophers imagine we might transcend physical reality altogether, become beings of pure information, pure pattern, able to exist anywhere computation can occur, spread throughout the cosmos as thought itself, light, speed limited only by choice, not necessity. Or maybe we'd go the other direction, use our power to create biological paradises, engineer ecosystems of breathtaking complexity and beauty, creatures and plants that exist only for aesthetic purposes. Living art on a planetary scale. Gardens of Eden scattered throughout the sphere. We might create new forms of matter, exotic particles that only exist under extreme conditions. We can now generate materials with properties that seem impossible. Perfect superconductors, invisibility, force fields, programmable matter that can change its properties at will with enough energy, enough knowledge, enough creativity. The line between technology and magic starts to blur. And maybe that's always been the case. Maybe magic is just technology we don't understand yet. And in a Dyson Sphere civilization, everyone would be a magician. But here's the thing, and this is important. All of this assumes we survive, assumes we make it to the Dyson Sphere, stage 1. Assumes we overcome all the challenges between here and there. And that's a big assumption, because right now, today, we face existential risks that could end everything. Nuclear war, engineered pandemics, runaway artificial intelligence, environmental collapse, asteroid impacts. Any of these could wipe us out before we ever leave Earth, let alone build a Dyson Sphere. That's why the work we do now matters. Not just the technical work, the rockets and robots, and research, but the social work, the political work, the cultural work, building institutions that can manage these risks, creating systems of governance that can handle global challenges, fostering cooperation and trust across borders and cultures. We need to solve our problems here on Earth, not just for their own sake, though that would be reason enough, but because their practice, preparation, training for the bigger challenges ahead. If we can't manage one planet, how can we manage a solar system? If we can't cooperate across countries, how can we cooperate across habitats separated by millions of kilometers? If we can't think long-term about climate change, how can we think long-term about stellar engineering? The path to the Dyson Sphere runs through our current challenges, not around them. We have to solve these problems, have to overcome these obstacles, have to prove we're worthy of the stars, and maybe we won't be. Maybe we'll fail. Maybe we'll destroy ourselves, or stagnate, or just lose interest. And the Dyson Sphere will remain forever a dream, a possibility that never materialized. But I don't think so. I think we'll make it, because despite all our flaws, all our mistakes, all our conflicts and contradictions, we're also capable of incredible things, incredible cooperation, incredible creativity, incredible perseverance. We've survived ice ages and plagues, wars and disasters. Again and again, we've been knocked down, and we've gotten back up. We've adapted, overcome, continued, and we've created beauty, art and music and literature, science and philosophy and mathematics. We've explored, discovered, learned, grown, become more than we were. That's the human story. That's what we do. And I believe, I have to believe, that we'll keep doing it. Keep pushing forward. Keep reaching higher. Until one day, maybe centuries from now, maybe millennia, we look up and realize we did it. We built our Dyson Sphere. We captured our star. We secured our future. And then we'll set our sights on the next challenge, the next impossibility, the next dream. Because that's who we are. That's what we do. We're the species that never stops climbing, never stops reaching, never stops dreaming. The stars will go out someday. That's inevitable. That's physics. That's the universe we live in. But we don't have to go out with them. We don't have to accept the darkness. We don't have to surrender to entropy. We can fight. We can persist. We can rage against the dying of the light. And maybe, just maybe, we can win. Not forever. Nothing lasts forever, but for a good long while. Long enough to matter. Long enough to make a difference. Long enough to fill the cosmos with meaning and purpose and beauty. That's what the Dyson Sphere offers us. Not immortality, but time. Not victory, but a fighting chance. Not certainty, but hope. And sometimes, hope is enough. Hope is everything. Hope is what keeps us going when logic says to give up. When the odds are overwhelming, when the future looks dark. Hope says, try anyway, build anyway, dream anyway, because you never know. You might just succeed. You might just make it. You might just change everything. So that's my answer to the question, what happens when the stars go out? We build Dyson spheres. We harvest stellar energy. We extend the lives of stars. We create new light sources. We adapt. We overcome. We survive. And if that's not enough, If even Dyson spheres aren't enough, then we'll think of something else, some new plan, some new technology, some new dream to chase. Because giving up, accepting defeat, letting the darkness win, that's not an option. That's not who we are. That's not the human way. We are the light bringers, the fire stealers, the ones who refuse to accept that anything is truly impossible. And the Dyson Sphere, that magnificent, ambitious, impossible dream, it's proof of that. It's evidence of what we're capable of when we dare to imagine, when we dare to try, when we dare to reach for the stars. So reach, dream, build, never give up, never surrender, never let the light go out. Because the universe is watching, and it wants to know, what will we become? What will we achieve? How far will we go? Let's show it. Let's show the cosmos what humanity is made of. Let's build our Dyson Sphere. Let's light up the galaxy. Let's prove that consciousness, awareness, life, these things matter. These things persist. These things endure all. That's our mission. That's our purpose. That's our destiny now. Go. Start. Begin. Take the first step on this infinite journey. And never look back.